Over the past 10 years, we have built friendships from coast to coast. When you specialize in collector insurance, you meet all types of people from all walks of life. Jim Hockert is one of our clients. He drives a one-of-a-kind turbocharged Austin Healey. He introduced us to Bob Norwood, and we'd like you to meet Bob and see some of the incredible cars he is working on in his shop. Millions of dollars worth of Ferraris located in a nondescript building in a small town outside of Dallas. We are the Phoenix Insurance.
When I was really young, like in the 5th to 6th grade, I started realizing I was interested in cars and stuff, but a friend of mine had a brand new 57 Chevy, and I was like just dazzled by this thing. Also, one guy had a 55 Chevy that was new. So what I did is I decided that these kids that I went to school with were all farmer people. And they had driver's licenses when they were like 6 years old and 7 years old because they were getting these farm permits. So I thought, you know, these guys can drive and everything, and I can't drive. So I thought, hell, I'll get a job working on a farm. So I did this, and I ended up working for this guy named John Greer, and he was a farmer, and he basically did contract hay baling for all of the part of Kansas. And so since I was first, I had my mother. After school, I'd get up at school at 4:30 or something. I'd go off to the farm, and every day she had to take me to the farm. It's about 7 miles, and she'd have to come and pick me up in the evening. And she got tired of that pretty quickly. And so my father decided, hey, I'm going to buy you an old car that you can drive back and forth to the farm. I'm going, this is good. this is real good. So we go to Pratt, Kansas, to a junkyard. And my father picks out this 46 Ford Coupe, and I'm very young at the time, and I'm not knowledgeable about what the hell's going on, but I noticed the thing had 3 carburetors on it, and aluminum heads and headers, and I'm going, this is really good, this is great. So I didn't realize that in the background, in the trunk of the car was all the original stuff to put it back to stock. The single 2-barrel carburetor, the factory exhaust, and all that stuff. So my father takes this car, we take it home, and my father puts it in the little garage we had in the back of the house and takes the thing all apart, puts all the stuff back to stock. I'm going, oh hell, this is terrible, you know. I thought I had this really great hot rod, and all of a sudden it's back to stock. So he drives long haul truck hauls. He's gone for 2 weeks at a time. So the next time he comes home, all the stuff is back on it. I put the carbs back on it, put the heads back on it, la la. And so that's basically how I got started. I mean, I started working on my own 46 Ford. We did nitrous oxide research work until 1974. And the work, we worked on everything. We worked on airplanes, boats, NASCAR cars. I put nitrous oxide on Cale Yarbrough's car in probably 1973. It was totally illegal. And NASCAR finally caught him, but they were afraid to tell anybody what it was because they figured everybody would have nitrous on their cars, so they took a bunch of points away and fined him, and then nobody ever said anything about it. But we put this on all Ferraris, race cars, everything. Diesels, we did a lot of work with nitrous oxide. So we eventually put together a AA funny car with the idea that we were doing nitrous oxide research for the company. So we got to run this car a little bit. We put a 426 Hemi on the dyno with blown on nitrous oxide. Nobody ever put one of these fuel motors on a dyno, let alone with nitrous oxide. Crazy what happened. We had no explosions really, but just crazy things happened. And we ended up with this engine making about 300 horsepower more than the normal fuel motors. I remember that thing had a big torque meter that went to 2,000 foot-pounds of torque, and it was making about 1,500 foot-pounds of torque at 6,500, and then you hit the spray button and it'd go almost to 2,000 foot-pounds of torque, you know, which was unheard of at the time. Today that's probably 1,700, 1,800 horsepower. Today those motors make 11,000. I think, what am I going to do now? I'll build P4s. I'm going to build the nicest P4 you've ever seen. And so I started building P4s. I ended up starting to do these cars, the real ones from the factory. I was buying them from the factory, $62,000 at the factory. Bring them back to the United States, spend about 15 on them and sell them for 100. I thought this was great, so I was buying these cars. So now I'm getting back and forth to Italy. And I ended up talking to Enzo, the old man who was still alive, and I'm building these P4s now. And he wrote a letter, said, hey, I like your P4s. They're very representative of my cars. He said, they might be nicer than my cars. He said, these things are really nice. You're using all Ferrari parts. He says, I like this deal. So he wrote a little note that it was okay to do it because basically you cannot build a replica of a Ferrari. That's the golden rule. And I found out real hard that that was true. I had a friend that was a woodworker that made a buck of an F40. If you looked at this thing, it just looked like an F40, but it was mahogany. And we were getting ready to pull the molds off the thing, and the lawyers from Ferrari came to visit me about an incident that I had, that I didn't have, but I built a car for a customer. It was a twin-turbo boxer. And this guy was pretty young, very wealthy guy out of Highland Park, from a pretty wealthy family. And he was at White Rock Lake in a 10-mile-an-hour zone and knocked a tree down going 126 miles an hour, Saturday afternoon. This was a horrible accident, a lot of stress. But meanwhile, the Ferrari lawyers are now coming to see Bob about this incident, and they noticed the F40. No, never no. So we negotiated a deal. We got to burn the mahogany Ferrari out beside the shop. and I learned the rules. You know, I've talked to the old man and I've learned the rules. And I told him, I said, you know, I have a deal with Enzo Ferrari to build these P4s. They're looking at them pretty careful at the same time. And I said, I have a letter from him that says I can build these cars. They go, yeah, right. You know. They didn't believe me. They said, give me the letter. I said, no way. I'll give you a copy of it. So they went back and checked the deal out, and I've never heard from them again, ever. I got my Roadster project I'm messing around with that you guys have looked at, and I'm building GTOs, and I'm probably going to sell the P4 company because I just don't have enough capability to do it, and I don't want to own a big shop. 4 or 5 guys, perfect. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're building GTOs and Cal Spiders. Cal Spiders, I have 3 cars that are not done. I just shipped one about 3 weeks ago. This car will probably get sold on Bring a Trailer. It's probably going to go away in a couple of weeks. I've got 2 cars in the body shop that are rollers with getting the body put on them. And I've got one sitting out here in the garage that's a roller that's ready to go to the body shop when they get an opening. It takes 6 months to a year sometimes to get the body built. That's a big job. And it comes back here and it takes me another maybe year to touch up everything. You got one Ferrari motor that's sitting inside there on the shelf there, at 6515. That's the motor that goes in the car that's out at Chauvinet's shop right now getting the body built. So that's going to keep me busy for a while. I'm 77 years old, almost 78, and I plan on keeping doing this as much as I can for the rest of the whack. If you need to do what you love to do, I mean, if you love to do something, you'll do good at it. If you love it, it's going to work for you. That's the way I look at it, you know.